The following program is presented by the H2M Podcast Network.
Good evening, everybody. This is Robyn Nelson with another edition of Wrestle Popcast. And my guest tonight is professional wrestler and referee, Jesse Hernandez. How's it going, Jesse?
I'm doing very well. How about you, Robyn?
I'm doing pretty good. Thank you for coming on.
Oh, my pleasure. My pleasure indeed.
So how is it over in California?
In Southern California. It's windy. It's sunny and windy out here.
Dang, I miss those California weather when I grew up out there. I'm in this cold, crazy weather in the Midwest.
I can imagine. I can imagine how it is out there.
Oh, yes. That's why I miss that dry heat in California.
Right.
Okay, Jesse. So what got you to fall in love with pro wrestling?
You know, when I was younger, growing up and stuff, through junior high school and stuff, you know, I was never able to get involved in sports, in any sports activities. Our family, we had a business. We had a movie theater that we had to run. And at the age of 13, that's when we came out to San Bernardino from up north from Salinas. And all we did, well, you know, I went to school and then we worked the theater. I was never allowed to join sports because of work. And so once I got married, I had gone to the wrestling match even before then. But once I got married, I decided, I went back to let me start all over again. I was a wrestling fan from when I was very young. And then once I got to be a teenager, I kind of went off to the side and started partying with my buddies and just hanging around. And then once I got married, then I had to settle down. Of course, I couldn't party anymore. And that's when I went back to wrestling. And I became friends with the Guerreros and stuff, especially Hector. And he and I will, talked for quite a while, in the lobby at the old San Bernardino Arena. And one day, this one individual, Juan Hernandez, he walked by and then he was wanting to get involved in wrestling, but he didn't know how. He said he knew a little bit about tumbling and certain things, about wrestling. And so I asked him, I said, hey, if you need somebody to train with, I'll do it for the exercise. And, maybe we can hook up and go to the Y. And it took him about a month or so before he actually called me back. And we started training. We trained at the YMCA. We didn't have a ring. It was just our network. And we did what we thought we were doing the right thing. I don't know. But nonetheless, we trained for almost a year there. And eventually they allowed us. I had a friend that sold tickets at the old San Bernardino Arena. And I asked him, hey, man, we'd love to be able to train in the ring. So he allowed us to come in on Sundays when they had the shows a little bit early, like at 1 o'clock when he came in to open up the box office to do his ticket sales, in advance. And he allowed us to work out in the ring. But I didn't want to get him in trouble, so I eventually got permission from Jeff Walton, who was the San Bernardino promoter for the Mike Labelle promotion. And finally convinced him, that into letting us use the ring because I didn't want my buddy to get in trouble. And so, but I will talk to Goliath, the great Goliath who lived in San Bernardino as well, and about coming out and helping us out. And eventually he did, and we started training with him. And I think we must have put in maybe almost a year of training with him as well, besides almost a year, at the YMCA. So that was almost 2 years of training before we actually had our first match. He got us hooked up in a match in Tijuana, Mexico against Rey Mysterio and his partner at the time, Pequeño Polo. That was our first match, and we made a good impression because nobody would give us a break. It was a very hard business to get into, and even with Goliath being a wrestler, it was hard for him to get us anywhere. Finally, this one individual that wanted to to Useful Alliance as a wrestler that night, or for a couple of shows out in Tijuana. He told me, I'll work for you with the condition that you keep my voice a break. And that's what started it all. Once we got our first match, then I started right away, started working for the Labelle promotion. I mean, we wrestled on Sunday. By the following Thursday, we wound up wrestling out in, I think it was Fresno. They sent me to Fresno, and then I came back and did a show on San Bernardino on the Sunday right after. And then we went back to Tijuana a week after that for a revenge match against the same opponents, and they wound up putting us over. So that was quite a compliment.
I bet it was.
And that's how I got in there, man.
So you also were part of a tag team called the Friars.
The Friars, wrestled, as the Friars, wearing a mask and kind of like a Friar Tuck gimmick. We used a candle and come out like we're praying, and it was a fun gimmick.
I bet it was. So while you were working for Mike Labelle, what you said earlier, is he the one that got you into WWF?
You're breaking up?
Oh, okay. I'll talk a little louder. I know it's windy where you're at. Since
let me take it inside.
Okay, that's fine.
I'll go to the garage so it'll be less windy. Give me a second.
Yeah, that's probably why you didn't hear me, because it was windy at your end.
Yeah, that's probably what it was. Let me it's a little quieter in here. See.
Oh, that sounds better.
Yeah, this will help. This will be much better.
Now I can hear better. Now, when you were talking about Mike Labelle, he's the one that got you into the World Wrestling Federation.
That is correct. When he sold the territory to Vince McMahon, he got rid of. He couldn't promote anymore, and what got me in good with Mike was the fact that as I was wrestling for him, I just wanted to be a wrestler. But the promotion wanted to get rid of a referee at the time that was working for them. And Tom Bernesto, who was the booker, Tom Bernesto is one of the original masked assassins. Him and Jody Hamilton were the assassins way back in the day. And he was the matchmaker. He was the booker. And he asked me, Jess, I want you to start refereeing for us. I said, refereeing? I'm a wrestler. I don't want to referee. He said, look, man, you're always going to be making money. You're always going to be working. Whether you're going to be wrestling or you're going to be refereeing, but you're always going to be busy. So I said, all right. So then I agreed. And then and he says, oh, well, we'll call you, because I was wrestling with a mask because I was the Friar at the time. He said, we'll call you Jesse Hernandez. Jesse Hernandez? Why Hernandez? Oh, that's my mother's maiden name. I said, oh, that's cool, man. That's cool. So that's how I got in. And once I started working more as a referee and stuff, I wanted to help the promotion out. I noticed that things were, the crowd wasn't getting in there like they were before, and I wanted to help out. I told Jeff Walton, I said, Jeff, why don't you get some posters and flyers and I'll pass them out in the area, I'll hit all this the surrounding cities nearby, and we should be able to get more people in the building. And so I don't think he really wanted to do it, but eventually I guess I pressured him enough that eventually he called me one day, go to the Greyhound station, pick up a box. I got you some posters and flyers for you to pick up so you can start doing this crap. I said, all right. So I did. He sent me like 300. He was sending me like 300 posters and 5,000 flyers, man. And I started putting that stuff out. It made a big difference in San Bernardino at the house there, man. I started packing them in. And finally, after I don't know how many times of doing this, Tom Ernesto calls me and says, hey, I'm coming out to San Bernardino. I want you to show me what you're doing with these flyers, where they're going at, because Mike wants to compliment, wherever you're putting the posters up, putting their name on our flyer, And so then I said, all right, that's good. So we went out for a ride, and I took him everywhere, man. And he started writing all those names from different liquor stores and, places. And making conversation, I came up with an idea of, an angle, just to make conversation. I didn't think he was going to take it serious, So I came up with this idea. I just, why don't we do this? Everybody knows that I referee. Everybody, the fans. I mean, I sell tickets in advance during the day or the afternoon, and then I go out and referee. I go out and wrestle, whatever, And I says, I came up with this idea because during intermission, I will go out and sell advance tickets, and right at ringside. I said, before intermission, there's a match with this one I can't think of the guy's name at the time. I thought it was, I thought the guy's name was, it was Grod something or other. Gosh, I can't think of it. Nonetheless, he's wrestling. He uses his foot on the rope to pin El Monarca, this guy from Mexico. And I can't, I snitch him off to the referee. And then the referee gets mad at, at the guy for putting his foot on the rope for the pin. And he extends the match. This match will continue, and causing him to lose the match eventually. And so then the guy gets pissed off. I'm out there selling the tickets at ringside, and he attacks me. I drop a couple of tickets here and there, a bit of change and stuff. And we fight outside. We bring it back in. And we're in and out of that, just fighting. Eventually, they separate us, and then I make a challenge to him. Hey, for what you've done, why don't you wrestle me next week? I want to take a little revenge for what you've done. And so I came up with that idea. I told it to Tom, and started liking it. And I was really surprised because I was still green in the business. I was still very young in the business. I started in 81, and this is like maybe 82, 83, something like that, and probably the beginning of 82, or 80, the beginning of 83, I should say, probably. Anyway, what happened was I came up with more ideas for the match and stuff, and he liked it. I said, we can have my tag team partner, sitting, because he also refereed without he worked as a mass wrestler, but he also refereed. So the fans know him as a referee. I came up with the idea of him as I'm wrestling this guy, Rod, whatever his name was, Rod Price, whatever. Not the Rod Price that I know as a good friend of mine at the moment, but another guy with a similar name. He was from Tennessee, as a matter of fact. But I don't know if I have his name correct or not. During that match, I came up with the idea of having a couple of the Mexican wrestlers come in and help him beat the hell out of me. In the meantime, as I'm getting my ass kicked, I suggested that Juan, my tag team partner, will come in, and along with I suggested Chris Adams to come in and save me. And Tom says, no, he can't beat Chris Adams. Be my son, because Chris Adams is leaving for Texas. I said, all right, whatever, And so, and that's what happened, and we did that match, and gosh darn, man. I did that match. This guy saved me, and then we want to come back with a tag match. And on that tag match, that 6-man tag match, it's supposed to take place like the following week. I get to the arena, I'm selling tickets. Jeff Walton comes in, and he says, Jess, we're not doing that match today. I said, why not? Because Foxcar is on the card, and I want you to get credit for the angle and everything. And I said, wow, So what are we going to do? So you're going to go outside, and you guys are going to pick it, because complain to the people that I'm not giving you that match. And if you get enough signatures, that you'll have that match the following week. And the whole purpose of that was he wanted me to get full credit for the attendance, because they had Mid Musculus on the card that night. And so then, So we're out there, people are showing up, they're kind of getting to the building. What's going on? What are you doing, Judge? I said, hey, Jeff Walton wouldn't give us this match. It's not sanctioned and this and that. It's more like it's not a professional match. And so then, but if we get enough signatures, maybe we can do that in the very near future. So people start signing our cardboard that I had out there. And Moscars comes in. He's got Channel 9 behind him, filming him as he's coming into the arena. Then they see what we're doing out here. And he winds up walking inside by himself. And the cameras all the attention is on us. And we tell the Channel 9, hey, this is what's happened, we were promised a match and now the promoter won't give it to us and whatever, And I think that's what did it with Mike Labelle, because when he sold out to Vince McMahon, he knew that I was on layoff from my job that I had at the time. He took care of me. He got rid of all his office personnel because his job was now to be the California promoter for Vince McMahon, because Vince didn't have the California promoter's license and Mike did, and he had sold his rights to him. So he still kept his office open, and he had me come in on Mondays to help out, do different shows for him, run to the bank, do this, whatever, And then Vince started sending the tapes for Channel 9. I delivered the tapes to the station. We did 9 weeks of television before they had the actual first show out here. And I remember WWF drew up in L.A. Only 2,000 people on the first show, because the fans here weren't that familiar with the talent that they had in New York. Everything was done out here by Mike. And the first show was San Diego, and the very next night was L.A. And but that's how I got in. I did all the footwork for Mike. I had to make sure that we had a doctor in attendance. I had to make sure everybody got licensed, and it was, But that's what got me motivated into promoting. And then Mike Labelle could not promote anymore himself. So anytime somebody wanted to run a show or they needed a show, he would pass that information to me. He says, yes, you're going to get a call from so-and-so, sell the show for so much, you send me so much, and you pay the boys that much, and we keep the rest. I said, wow, that's pretty much how I got into it, how I became a promoter myself. It was such a beautiful experience.
And when you were over the WWF, you became friends with Bruno Sammartino.
Well, yeah. Bruno later on came in, and then was brought back to WWF, and we did some other stuff together. We worked on a movie with Roddy Piper, Body Slam, and there was a scene where we're watching, guys like Ric Flair, Bruno, myself, and then Al Casey and other wrestlers were sitting ringside. And then I start a fight scene while the match is going on. Bruno, I don't know, I turned Bruno to hit him, and he hits me first, and that started everything. Everybody started fighting, it was neat. It was what a beautiful experience, and I'll tell you, the memories I have of all that, just incredible. And then, of course, Bruno wound up working with UWF, Herb Abrams promotion. I used to work for him as well. And, so, we'd run into each other quite often. But the very last time that I saw Bruno, he had already shaved his head, So for all those years that I had known him, he always had hair. But there was a convention out here in L.A. by the airport. And I walked into this one room, and from afar, I see this fellow looking at me like, he sees me and he's looking straight at me, but I didn't recognize him. And I said, who's that? I don't know who's that. He's just staring at me, like looking for me and stuff. So I started walking towards that way, and it was Bruno. I didn't recognize him with his bow head. And I said, oh my God, So I was just so happy to see him then. And I hope that man rests. I hope that he's in peace. Rest his soul, man. Such a great person. What an honor to have known him.
I bet it was. I bet you probably had some great stories. Do you have any great stories with you and Bruno besides Body Slam, the film?
No, just nothing in particular. Just friends. That's it. When we run into each other, that was pretty much it.
So when you had your wrestling career, I know you reffed as well. Who'd you have the great chemistry with in the ring that you could work with over and over again in your career?
Oh, man, great Goliath. I wound up wrestling Goliath, and he made me look like $1 million one time, man. And my trainer, I mean, we had such an amazing match that there was a fan that used to come out to San Bernardino, and when he saw that match, he literally wanted to become my manager. I mean, real life manager, and because Goliath made me look like $1 million on that match. And Jeff Walton, of course, we can't have this guy manage. He's just a fan, And so he tried to make it very difficult for him, He says, look, you can't, to manage Jesse Hernandez, and not as the Friar, but as Jesse Hernandez. I was wrestling as a babyface, and he says, you have to pay his bills. He was just trying to make it difficult for him. You got to pay him. You got to do this. You got to do, and you got to get a bond, and and so on and so on, and trying to make it difficult for the guy. But the guy wouldn't budge. He still wanted to become my manager, my real life manager. And so they used an excuse, where I guess the guy was sitting ringside and he pushed somebody, or he pushed one of the other managers or whatever, and then he got kicked out, never to be seen again. But they used it just to get him away from the thought of getting involved in our business, I guess. But the guy was serious, man. The guy was serious.
And you're probably going, okay.
I'm just enjoying it. I said, what the heck, man? I couldn't believe it. It's one of those things.
Hey, let's talk about Bill Anderson. How'd you end up meeting up with Bill Anderson?
With Bill Anderson, and well, he came in at the very, to the tail end of the Labelle promotion, and when he came in, he didn't realize that, the end was, coming near. I think what happened, and it's just my own thought, that Vince and Mike were already making plans on, Mike Labelle was already planning on selling out the promotion. And that's the reason, I believe that's the reason that he wasn't bringing in new talent, The talent was getting a little stale, and he wasn't really pushing, for big names to come in to the territory. So because he knew that, sooner or later he was already making plans on selling out to Vince. So when Bill came in, that was about, towards the tail end. And that's one of the guys that Mike Labelle wanted to take care of, as far as, when I went out and flyer, he could take Bill with you. That way he could make a little extra money, And so we became buddies and stuff, And so what happened later on, as Bill had a wrestling school over in Simi Valley, I guess it was. It's called Slammers. It was a wrestling school called Slammers out in the valley, I guess. And somehow he had problems with the guys that he was dealing with, and all of a sudden he didn't have no place to train the guys. By then, Goliath and I had split. We kind of went our separate ways, and so I had the school to myself. Myself and another partner. And Bill asked me if he could, if I didn't mind if he trained his guys at my school once in a while, or whatever, once a week or whatever. And so I allowed that to happen. And But the partner that I had at the time, for some reason, he didn't really like Bill. And so I had a fallout with my old partner and had Bill come in. And pretty soon we became partners in the school. And then we started promoting. And we started promoting, not under the EWF name, but, we had a different name at the time. And with time, we created the Empire Wrestling Federation, and that happened like in 1996 when we started Empire Wrestling Federation, and we had a great school. We had a great school together. A lot of our guys were working for WWE. Putting the guys over, putting the stars over, but somehow, we had to fall apart. we went our separate ways later on, and it wasn't a very happy moment for us. I think we kind of feuded a little bit over it, a lot of tension, but and that's what and that situation got one of a guy that had Augie Max put us in a little TV show that years before then. He was a big EWF fan, but he became he's a producer now. He produces a lot of shows on TV. The Oscars, he helps out in the Oscars and different projects, very successful individual. But he's always believed that we gave him the start by allowing him to run a small TV show with us. And so that he's the one that started filming this documentary for us, for me anyway, out of appreciation for giving him the start. And that's the School of Hard Knocks. It's called the School of Hard Knocks movie. The story of a professional wrestling story. It's called, and so he's almost done with it. He was hoping to get it done by now, but with everything going on, with this virus and stuff, I don't know now when it's actually going to come out.
Also, since you have your Empire Wrestling Federation, School of Hard Knocks, you've trained a lot of big names in there. You trained Candice LeRae and Melina Paris.
Melina Paris. Mm-hmm.
So, what was it like training Candice LeRae and Melina Paris?
Oh, well, Candice was very young. She was very young at the time. To me, she must have been probably 12 years old when she was training with us out here, But Melina, she was such a quiet, very, very polite. And I knew she had a lot of heart. And I had never heard her curse until I took her to an event in Tijuana. I hooked her up to do a show in Tijuana, Mexico. And after the show, we're driving back home, and I had to take a leak, man, bad. And there was this Arco station. We went in, and I guess they were mopping the floors or whatever to the bathroom. So they had this large cone for people not to go into the bathroom. But I went in anyway, And the gal behind the counter yelled at me, hey, don't you see that, the cones and this and that? And boy, Melina let it out, man. You fucking bitch, you. Where do you expect him to piss? That shocked the hell out of me. I had never heard Melina talk like that. Totally surprised me.
Oh my gosh. Do you have any other stories of Melina?
Well, Melina, she was just, she was great, There was a promotion, but Melina sometimes depended on other people for rights to the schools.
Yeah.
Which, at one time she depended on Shelly Martinez to give her a ride there, And But then they had a fallout. Everybody has a fallout in wrestling, don't they?
They sure do.
They had some kind of a problem, And so she wasn't getting the rights from Shelly Martinez. And there was a promotion that was running out of Chicago somewhere. They were was a women's promotion, and they were looking for gals to send in their whatever, their information. So hopefully they'd be able to use them. So I told Shelly, send your stuff in, send your stuff in. I don't think she ever did. And then Melina I hadn't seen for a while because of their fallout, she wasn't getting the right to the school from Shelly. So I hadn't seen her for maybe over a month. And I gave her a call. I called her. I said, look, here's some information. Send, a tape, send your information to this promotion out in Chicago and see what happens. And she did. She wound up working for them. They used her as like a native, like an Indian. I don't know if you remember anything like that. And so, anyway, so she got the job. And Shelly never did. Shelly could have probably wound up working for them, but she never sent it. And so once she came back from doing all of that, that's when I suggested to her. I said, "Well, keep on training, Melina. Let's see if we can get you into WWF at the time." And so anyway, so we did. I believe she got. We did something for Superstar Billy Graham. He was having some serious kidney problems and all kinds of stuff, and he was needing surgery and he needed money. And I had suggested to do a fundraiser, actually in Bakersfield, as a matter of fact.
Oh, that's where I'm from.
Your hometown.
Yeah.
I think you said you were from Bakersfield, didn't you?
Yeah, I was.
Yeah. Anyway, I was doing some events there for a bit, and I decided to do a fundraiser where I brought in wrestlers from different promotions to help out on this fundraiser to be able to draw. We used UPW and guys from up north, and we did a whole bunch of matches, and we used Melina on that, and I'm trying to think who else that made it into WWF. Man, let's see. I'm trying to think if Tom Pritchard came out to that show as well. I don't know, because WWF said no. They might have no. What I think I sent videos of the show or whatever.
Yeah. Because
I had called the office. I called Vince's office and told him what I was doing for Superstar Billy Graham. And so they actually sent a $1,000 check for Billy. And I had forgotten all the heat that Vince had with Billy Graham at the time. And I don't think I was thinking, because there was some tremendous heat over the steroid situation.
Yeah.
And everything that had happened before then. And yet Vince sent $1,000 and sent me a box of merchandise to auction off, and we made Superstar a good amount of money. And it was through that they had seen a tape of Melina, and Tom Pritchard helped. Actually, he likes to take credit for discovering her, which I love Tom Pritchard. He's a good guy, and he always kidded around. Hey, I discovered Melina. Well, that's great. But that's how she, eventually she got in with WWF. And I remember when she had her first tryout, I wasn't able to be there. I had to be in Phoenix for some other stuff that I was doing. And but the word was that everybody was. She was. She was. It's probably nerves being there and everything, but everybody treated her well, and everybody kept saying, "Hey, Jesse's girl, Melina, Jesse's girl," And she was treated very nicely by everybody. I was very happy for her.
Well, that's good. She was pretty good in the ring. I liked watching her wrestle.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Also, you you refereed a lot too. You also refereed over at WOW. What was that like?
Oh yeah, the WOW promotion. Yeah, a number of times that WOW was on and then it was off and then it was back on again. So I got a chance for 2 different times working for them. The last time I worked for them, they had me helping with the ring, and they had 2 rings, and the one they had to use for training only, and the other one for shows, and then sometimes we had to set up both rings for training, and then traveling with that was hard work. That's one of the hardest rings that we've ever worked with, man.
I bet it was
heavy, very heavy ring.
So, what matches did you ref for WOW?
Oh man, every time we did, I mainly worked for the TV shows. Man, Jesus, I can't even remember. But so many. Hey, but on the last, on one of the times that I worked for them, actually, or was it the first time? I think the first time that I worked for them, they had me looking for another referee. And there was a kid that came in from Indiana to train with us at the school. And he was a good-looking guy, he's young. And just looking at him, and because of what the referees that I had, one was too young. He was like 14 years old. And the other one was too tall. And they needed a referee that was 18 and over because of they were planning, and supposedly their goal was to eventually to run in Vegas. And so I see this one kid come in on a Saturday, and then I said, man, I'm looking for I wonder if this guy could referee. I told the guy, hey, listen, before practice is over, I'm going to have you referee a match. If you do well, I might be able to get you a job with WOW. Because the guy had trained. He had trained in Indiana as a wrestler. So I knew that he was familiar with wrestling. So I had him referee. He did well. I said, all right, here's what you do. On Tuesday, you come in, bring me a picture of you wearing a referee shirt, black pants, so that I can send it off to David McLean and see if he'll hire you. And he was hired. He got hired. And then he also got paid to help train the girls. So whatever he was learning with us during, on training nights, he was sharing it with the girls over there to help train them as well. And he got lucky. He was getting $700 a week at the time, just for hanging around and training with the girls.
Oh, he was loving that, being around with all those women.
Yeah. And so then he eventually wound up working on Macho Man Randy Savage on the Spider-Man movie. He was a referee on the Spider-Man movie. He got the job there for that as well.
That's pretty good. Now, let's talk about the Young Bucks. You got to know them a little bit too. Tell me a great Young Bucks story.
Well, I can tell you one. I've known the kids forever. And one time they were out there going over their match. It was at an Armory Hall out in the Valley, and I'm looking at them. And finally, when they had a chance to step out from talking to their opponents and stuff, I said, you son of a gun, you remind me of the Midnight Rockers, Shawn Michaels and Marty Jannetty. You really remind me a lot of them. And they said, really? I said, yeah. Well, a month later, because they were running shows in Hesperia, a month or so later, they bring in Marty Jannetty to wrestle for them. and another thing, and they started dressing like the Rockers, They started dressing just like them. And then I don't know how many months, or maybe 8 months later or whatever, they were getting a tryout with WWE, and I was there and visiting, and I introduced them to Shawn Michaels. So they were very happy to, they were nervous as heck, But that's one of my stories with them. I just recently rented out my ring, with this virus situation. they needed to film a little segment at one of their houses there in Hesperia. So I took my ring out there, and they shot some scenes and got a little payday out of it. So that was good.
Oh, that's pretty good. You got you knew the Young Bucks when they were first starting out, man.
Yeah, and it so happened that Nick, when I took the ring up there, he had just he just had a baby. His wife had a baby, and when he took her in, they wound up keeping her for 3 days, and and they told him, if you leave the hospital, you're not coming back in. So he wound up spending 3 days with his wife there in the hospital. He said it was driving him nuts.
Shoot, I bet it was, man.
Yeah, said he didn't want to leave her. If he knew that if he left the hospital, he wasn't going to get back in. So he wound up staying there.
Also, you have a Hulk Hogan story too.
Yeah. Oh man, when Mike Labelle was running. And he used to be involved with doing taking care of the visas for this gal named Chica. She's the one that sent the wrestlers to New Japan. And but she didn't know anything about the paperwork for the visa. So I was handling, and those Mondays that I would go in and to help at Mike's office. I did that after he. After he sold his rights to Vince, I will go in on Mondays, and I will do the paperwork for the visas and stuff like that. And it so happened that anytime a wrestler traveled to Japan to work for New Japan, either on the way to Japan or on the way back, they had to work for Mike Labelle. That way he could utilize the wrestler and take advantage of the situation. Well, Hogan came in one time. Either he was coming back from Japan or on his way to Japan, and that's the first time I had ever met him. And we were both there early in the dressing room, and he comes up to me, and he looked a little nervous and stuff, He said, how you doing? I'm Hulk Hogan. Yeah, I said, oh, I'm Jesse Hernandez. And then I said, brother, you seem a little nervous. What's up? Oh, man. Yeah, you won't believe it, man. They want me to wrestle as a babyface tonight. I've never done that. I said, brother, you'll be fine. And look what he became. Look what he became. Can you imagine?
Yeah, because when he
was afraid to work as a babyface because he had never done that before. He had always been a heel.
Oh, I know. He was a heel over at AWA before he came over to WWE.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Since you did a lot of work for Labelle and Vince McMahon, what were some of your greatest moments being part of the World Wrestling Federation?
Oh, man. Oh, Jesus Christ. It was just incredible, man. Refereeing the Hogan matches, the Roddy Piper, the King Kong Bundy, the Macho Man Randy Savage, Tito Santana. Man, it was a dream. It was a dream. I remember, man. When Eddie Guerrero died, and I went to the funeral out in Phoenix.
Uh-huh.
And there, at that one moment where they sent everybody out, for just the family to view the body, we all went outside, and I saw Vince. Him and his wife and daughter were standing there against the wall there. And I walked up to Vince, and I said, Vince, I don't know if you remember me, Jesse Hernandez, and he said, of course I remember you, Jesse. And I said, man, Vince, I just want to tell you thank you for the memories that I was allowed to have, working for your promotion all those years, I mean, the memories will live with me forever, And man, I swear I saw almost like a small little tear in his eye, when I was telling him that, In other words, I think maybe he expected me to be asking him for a job again. I don't know, but I think I just wanted to thank him, for allowing me the opportunity to work for him. And I said, and everything that I learned, by working for your promotion, I utilized it in my own little small promotion, And he was just grateful, man. He was grateful. And I'm going to add another to this story.
Okay.
Because a month later, we went back for a WWE. Well, I went back to Phoenix for a WWE event that they had, and because I was taking a couple of my guys were getting tryouts, so we went out there, and this is a month after Eddie's funeral, a month or so. So me and this, one of my boys, Brandon Gatson, are standing on one side of the ring, up to the side, and Vince comes in. And he went straight, to put on the headphones, to the red, whatever, This is early, about noon or so, And so, and then he sees me. He looks up to where I was at, and he takes off his headphones, and he walked all the way to where I was at to shake my hand, bro. It was mad. I said, wow, unbelievable. And he says, how you doing, Jess? I said, oh, I'm fine, Vince. Thank you, And then he went back and did his thing, And the next day we're in L.A. Same thing. We're almost on the same side. He comes in, grabs his headphones, sees where I'm at, but and Brandon says, Jesse, so he was looking at you. I know, bro, but he's not going to make his way up here, He's not going to do it twice, So I feel obligated to slowly, because I'm very shy, about I don't like to bother people and stuff. So I start slowly making my way up to where he was at. And then he's on that side of the steps, and I'm on this side of the steps. And he sees me, and then Michael Cole comes up like he's going to talk to him about something, And he sticks his hand out and puts it right on his chest. And then sticks his hand out to me. How are you, Jess? I'm doing fine, sir. I just wanted to say hi. And man, I was shocked, man. It was an honor, and a real honor, to have that happen.
Well, that's pretty good. And you said you roughed
Don't get no better.
Oh, dude, you probably were in heaven.
Yeah.
I bet you were marking, weren't you?
I was marking like a son of a gun.
So when you
too easily, but I did.
So when you ref some matches for WWF, what was it like reffing Piper match?
Oh man, yeah, amazing. Yeah, oh man, just totally amazing, and more so, working together on that movie Body Slam with him.
Uh-huh.
He had so much love, so much respect for our business, bro, that they in one of the matches that they had there, I remember so clearly. My tag team partner was a referee on that match, and he told my partner, he says, Juan, when they say cut, we're going to continue. We got people in this audience, we got an audience here. I don't want to give it away, I want to show them that, this shit's for real, man. So, my partner said, all right, man. So, anyway, so the director, I'll meet him, yells, cut, and nobody stops. Everybody, Piper and Tom the Kid are still kicking ass, and then I'll meet him just yelling and screaming, stop. He literally jumps over the top rope into the ring, man, to stop the guys from fighting anymore. This is a freaking movie, man. This is, what are you doing? Oh, he almost had a heart attack, man. We tried to stop that, man, to stop them from fighting.
Oh, that's crazy.
That's the kind of person Piper was. He had so much love, so much respect for our business. A few years ago, a little bit before he passed on, I rented my ring out to this promotion out in San Diego,
uh-huh.
and Piper was there, to sign autographs, and they did some kind of a podcast thing, or whatever in the ring, and after the matches, but during the day he took one of my students that I had helping me with the ring. He took him to the side and started guiding him, talking to him about, the business and, how to conduct himself. And, I said, man, that's, you can't even buy that, man. I felt so proud. And my guy, I'm sure that he was very happy and very proud to have had Piper just guide him and then talk to him about her business and everything. It was a beautiful experience, man. Beautiful experience. On that same day, Goldberg was there. For that same event, and he, this was during the day. The ring was set up. It was way before the show started, but some people were there, getting autographs, and he was standing there talking to some people, and probably signing autographs and so on. And this, I didn't know it was his brother, but this guy comes up to me and he says, "Yeah, I got my son and my nephew here. Do you think that they can get in the ring?" And and before I said anything, that this is Goldberg's son. I said, "Well, how can I deny that Goldberg's son to get in my ring?" He was very young because he was just a young little boy. And I said, "Well, it'll have to be under my guns. I'll have to get in there with him. I'll let him come in. I'll show him how to do some tumbling, maybe run the ropes, but I don't want him getting hurt." So I get the kids in the ring, showing them how to run the ropes, showing both of them the tumbling and stuff, And Goldberg looks up to the ring, sees his son. He literally just left the group of people that he was standing with, and man, he almost had tears in his eyes watching his son in the ring. He had never seen. He said, "I'd never seen my son in a wrestling ring before, man. It was exciting for him to see that."
Oh, I bet it was.
Yeah, so that's a Goldberg story there for you. Another Goldberg story, man.
Okay.
I remember that TV show they had. I don't know if you remember it. Joes versus Pros.
Oh yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
Goldberg wound up working that. I used to run my ring out there anytime they had any whether it was boxing or wrestling scenes or whatever they needed a ring. I was always working. Well, that particular time that I went, Goldberg was to wrestle some guy from some university. He was a university wrestler from somewhere back east, and they're supposed to do this like an amateur type of match, And so they set up the rules and that if the way they had left it is if one puts the other one on their both shoulders down, even if it's for 1 second, that's done. It's over. And well, Goldberg left to go to the dressing room, and then the guy kept bothering the producers. And, how about if what about if I roll him from one shoulder and onto the other, and that be counted as a pin? They said, no, we can't do that. But he kept bugging these guys. And they finally, all right, then we'll do that. All right, go do this. But they didn't tell Goldberg. And so I'm in the ring. I'm listening to all this bullshit with these guys and stuff. And then Goldberg comes in to do the match. And I come to the side as a brother. They just changed it on you. Now, if he rolls you over from one shoulder to the other, it's called a pin, and you lose. And boy, Goldberg raised so much hell, bro. He screamed and, I'll kill this son of a bitch. So he went nuts, man. I've never seen anything like that, bro. So they had to change it back. And luckily for him, because during that match, he did roll him from one shoulder to the other. Goldberg got rolled over.
Oh, wow.
It would have been a loss for him. It would have destroyed him. His career.
That's funny.
Can you imagine?
Oh, yeah.
So Goldberg owes me one, man.
He sure does. So, Jess...
I think he might have already paid it. Actually, Goldberg lives in San Diego, where I had a student at the time that was from that area. He'd run into Goldberg one time at the Home Depot. And Goldberg, and he wanted to know where, he was looking for a wrestling school, this guy. And Goldberg sent him to me. He said, "Hey, there's a guy, Jesse Hernandez, out in San Bernardino. Go check him out. He'll train you." So, okay, he paid me back.
Hey, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So, Jesse, thank you so much for coming on to the show tonight.
Well, I get a little excited with, with what I've been through in my career in wrestling, man. It's just incredible, man. I'm very proud to have been a part of this, and let's see what happens with this virus situation when we can get back and start doing shows again, man. I'm looking forward to that.
Oh, me too. I'm looking forward to getting to see some independent shows and getting back working with my promotion. I work for Future Great Wrestling in Cincinnati. But like I said, this was a pleasure for having you on.
Well, thank you, brother. Thank you. I appreciate it so much.
So, Jesse, where can everybody find you on social media and your and Empire Wrestling Federation?
Well, I got a Twitter account, EWF Jesse, Instagram, EWF Jesse. We got a lot of stuff on YouTube, Empire EWF Wrestling. There's a lot of wrestling matches on there, and we're on Empire Wrestling Federation for the promotion, and SOHK training for the wrestling school of Hardknocks.
All right, thank you so much, everybody else. Thank you for listening to Wrestle Popcast. Good night.